Listen, I've missed all the introductions, which is my favorite part of the whole thing here. So at the count of three, why doesn't everybody just go ahead and say hello and where you're calling in from? And so I can just get a feel for who's on the call. At the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Hi, Art. All right. All right, we'll mute the line. Okay, thanks everybody. I always get a lot of energy from hearing all those introductions, and was busy doing something else, getting prepared here. So very exciting to be on this webinar today, and got an incredible guest. Just really excited. We met Julia at the 20K dinner, and at the main event she spoke, and right away Terry and I said, like, we got to get this gal on a webinar. So we'll be introducing her shortly, and so you've heard my better half here taking some introductions. How you doing this morning, Terry?
Great. Excellent.
All right. We got the Long Beach update here. And just before we bring our guest on, just to kind of give you a feel for the event, and then we'll get into the guest, and then we'll get into some of the things that we learned and the update on Glimpse and so on. But the event began with a 20K dinner at the Queen Mary, which was quite an exciting thing. This is a very old ship here. And there's Mike and Melissa Erskine and ourselves heading in for the 20K dinner. And this boat actually is from like the 30s or something like that. And back in the war, it actually took like 17,000, 18,000 soldiers across the pond. And it's really was a lot of fun to get on such an old vehicle there. And just a couple shots here from the 20K dinner. That's Dave and Nancy Hansen on the top corner there. That's from the deck of that boat. Of course, Terry posing next to this boat there that she likes quite a bit. And at the 20K dinner, this is Chris Peterson, the founder of My Mangosteen, and his dad, actually, who I had met before but could not remember. Terry, wasn't that a lot of fun over there at that 20K dinner?
It was amazing. You know, there was probably around 500 of us in this room, and it was a big, huge ballroom. And you could really feel the essence of this boat, even though it wasn't moving or anything. But it was quite unique because the boat and the history behind the boat, it has so much history and it's so old. But it was an amazing dinner. Had some great speakers.
You know, and one of the things about going to an event like that is not just the event itself, but is all the hanging out you get to do with your different team members. That some of our team members there. This is my favorite picture here because if you notice very carefully, all the couples are mixed up here. And so Terry's leaning over there, and it looks like we're all with different partners there. So we got a kick out of that. This is Marcus and Holly and Nick here, and the Hansons again at a breakfast meeting we had. Sorry about the eyes being closed, but that's Jim and Sandy and Sam White. And a huge crowd turned out there at Long Beach. And, you know, it was really a different kind of event. I would say that the morning was a lot like what we would normally see at a regional event with a lot of corporate presentations, Joe Morton, Gary Hollister, Dave Webb introducing. And then the afternoon was just chock full of distributor stories and trainings and an all-distributor afternoon. And these stories, Terry, were absolutely incredible.
They were amazing. I mean, there were many times that the crowd was in tears because the stories were so emotional and so heart-wrenching that you could really get a feel that the company was going to a new direction with these meetings. And so this was the first regional that they have actually done it this way, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very inspirational.
Yeah, and I asked everybody. I did my own informal poll on Saturday afternoon, including male and female poll, and I could not find anyone who did not shed a tear in the afternoon. It was incredible. And one of the great stories of the event, as I mentioned, is Julia Hulls, who wowed us really on the Friday night dinner, told her story, a remarkable story. You're just going to love this story. And then again, she came back in on the at the main event and told it again. And so right away, we wanted to get her on here. We got some incredible pictures of her life. Are you there, Julia?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Oh, great. Great to have you on the call. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Julia, you have quite a story to tell. And I'm going to flip over to the first picture, and you can kind of give everybody an idea of your background and where you grew up and who this guy is up on the top left-hand corner of the screen here.
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. And again, I'm honored to be on this webinar with Art and Terry. Let me give you a little bit about my background. I was born and raised in Lima, Peru, and actually born there and then taken as a small infant to the jungle region of Peru in the Amazon rainforest, about 50 miles from Brazil. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the trip that Hope Alliance does.
Right.
I know Dr. Templeman and Dr. Morton have been on that trip, and actually distributor leaders have also been on that trip along with founders. Well, they go to an area of Peru called Iquitos, which is in the Amazon River basin area, and where I grew up is about 7 days downriver from there. About 75 years ago, my grandparents immigrated to Peru. You can see my grandfather up there in the far left corner. They felt called to the jungle. They felt called to go share God's word with the indigenous people. My grandfather milked snakes, and he was excited about what the jungle would do, the possibilities of, creating anti-venoms in the jungle for the indigenous people.
Yeah, he's milking a snake in that picture, right?
Yes, he is. He was actually also a horticulturist, and back then in the early 30s, when you did your paperwork, you would go to Havana, Cuba, and do a lot of paperwork and get on a ship and go to Brazil. And so when he was in the Caribbean area, he picked up a lot of different seeds. He was really into grafting trees and things like that as well. And the mangosteen fruit that we enjoyed as kids, we believe, came from my grandfather bringing some of the first seeds that he had picked up in the Caribbean.
Wow.
At least that's what my father says today. So just to preference that a little bit, my father was born and raised in Peru in the Amazon. And as he was growing up, he saw the struggles of young men and women faced with lack of education. And after completing his studies in the United States, he and my mother returned to the same region in the jungle, and they built a technical school teaching carpentry, drafting, mechanics, with an emphasis on Christian discipleship training. So that picture in the right upper corner, you can see the White House near the river. That's the house I grew up in, and then the village all around, and then their mission school or their technical school right there with all the buildings.
Right. So that's where you grew up. And what, roughly what year are we talking about here?
This is in the late 70s.
Right, okay.
So,
and that's a picture on the left then at night across the river where you grew up.
That's actually a sunrise on the Amazon.
On the Amazon, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was exciting growing up there. You can see the river right there. We swam probably every day. There are freshwater pink dolphins in that lake. There are piranhas and other exciting creatures.
Yeah, we're excited about the piranhas, and I'm just going to flip forward here, just to the next slide here that really shows some of the wild animals and things in the region. Of course, this is a later picture when you grew up, but you have all these animals over there?
Yeah, as kids, our pets were monkeys and baby jaguars. My brothers were fans of collecting boa constrictors, so not your typical dogs and cats, that's for sure.
So what was it like growing up then? I mean, it was completely different. Give people a sense of what your life was like that was different from how people were growing up over here.
Well, we didn't have a television. We communicated with our relatives in the United States by ham radio. They would patch us through to an overseas operator out of Sacramento or out of North Carolina, and then we could, we knew our relatives by ham radio. And we'd say, hello, over, and then they could respond.
Oh, yeah.
We never had to wear shoes. The jungle is very acidic, the clay, and it rains so much that we never had to wear shoes till we came to the United States. In fact, we were able to go to school without shoes, so that was exciting. You saw the previous picture with the river. We went to school upriver by boat. My father even painted our boat yellow to resemble our school bus, I guess, taking us to school. So it was exciting. It was fun. We had a great childhood growing up.
Yeah, so you went upriver in a school boat, and some of the food was a little different. I know you had limited food supplies compared to what we would have, right?
Yeah, pretty much everyone grows their vegetables that they're going to have. You live off of the fish in the lake. Rarely there would be trucks that would come over the mountains from Lima, which is the capital city of Peru, and then they would bring in fresh produce into that jungle area. But that was very limited to, economic stability, limited to whatever was going on in the country at the time. So, and a lot of times washouts on the roads, then you wouldn't have anything coming over the mountains for weeks, sometimes months.
Okay, and eventually you had to move. This journey came to an end, right?
Yes, it did. In the late 80s, the Shining Path Terrorism Group were growing very, very fast in Peru, and they were taking over all the different jungle communities. Their idea was to take over all the rest of Peru and come in and basically choke Lima, the capital city. And so it was a dangerous time. There was a lot of resentment against foreigners being in the country. And after the second attempt on my father's life, my parents said we need to leave Peru for some time until this, mess clears up. And so we packed up and we moved to Manhattan Beach, California. And let me tell you, if you've ever heard of kids or anyone coming to the United States and going through culture shock, it was us arriving in Manhattan Beach, California from the jungle. I remember one of the most exciting things when we got to the United States was grocery stores, because you can see from the previous picture that there's no grocery stores nearby. And in fact, our first trip was to a Lucky's grocery store in California. And I tell you, the best treat we ever had, far better than our experience to Disneyland, was that we got to go down the cereal aisle and pick out any cereal we wanted. I've never seen so many cereals in my entire life, and there were rows and rows, and it was so exciting. I'm sure people looked at us very, very strange as we were, smiling from ear to ear. You could have stuck a banana in our mouth sideways. We were so excited to get a box of cereal.
Yeah, things that we take for granted here. And so then this is where you eventually met your husband, Mike, right?
Yeah, after a number of years, after I finished my schooling, I ended up in San Carlos, Mexico, a little vacation spot just south of the border of Arizona. We had an uncle at the time that had a place there, so he had invited us down previous when we would come to the United States. So this was a spring break trip with my brothers and some friends, and I met this incredible man named Michael, and it was then that I knew that my upbringing in the jungle had been preparing me for what my journey was going to be with this man. And when I met Michael, he had been diagnosed with a grade 4 astrocytoma, a brain cancer in his right frontal lobe. So I knew then that the upbringing had been a preparation for what our journey would be together. And we were shortly married after we met, and his cancer came back quickly for the second time. It grew back actually 15 months after his first surgery, and this time they went in. An astrocytoma is a brain tumor like a spider. It has legs that embed into your brain. And so even though they can go in and take out as much tumor as they can't go in and dig in for fear that they damage too much parts of the brain. Well, they had taken out a big segment of what had been maybe one of the legs, and then the second time it came back, another leg had grown in. So after a pathology report, they said that this was a very aggressive type cancer and that he would have to do radiation and chemotherapy.
Right.
We went ahead and did the 42 treatments of radiation. It was very, very hard for him and hard for us. And then they gave us some time to get ready for chemo, and they had recommended 6 different kinds of chemotherapy. And we started investigating the types of chemo. We felt certain that they were chemos that, that had results with breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, but we couldn't find any, proof that the types of chemos would be effective with brain cancer.
Yes, it's very difficult to treat, yes,
yeah.
I know.
And, there were people that were doing those type of chemotherapies, but the results weren't what we were looking for. And so together we made a decision that we would not do the chemotherapy and that we would go on a journey and look for alternatives, anything that we could try.
In the meantime, you were having lots of kids, it looks like.
Oh, my gosh. Yes, our family was growing really fast. I remember I never was fearful. You know, I knew that there was a purpose in meeting Michael. I was excited about what we would, you know, run into, or, you know, what possibilities were out there for us, and our family was growing at the same time. So you can see in this picture, I think we had 6 under the age of 6.
Wow. Yeah, and so this was a long journey, isn't it? You know, from the first time you met, I mean, this I expect would be an up and down journey, times of joy and times of despair, and you had to just kind of fight through all of this, right?
Absolutely. We traveled a lot. We went all over Canada. You know, we went to Mexico. We went to the Caribbean and tried different things like shark cartilages. In Mexico, they did things with just IV treatment. You know, anything that we could, anything that someone recommended, we were willing to try.
Yeah, so you were trying all kinds of different things, and one thing I remember from your story we didn't get a chance to mention is that back in Peru, I mean, you had no doctor there, and so you were used to sort of looking for natural solutions. I think you had some kind of a book called When There Is No Doctor or something, right?
Absolutely. The closest medical facility was probably a couple hours upriver from us, and so my mom had this manual called Where There Is No Doctor in Spanish, and I remember never going to a medical facility for, you know, disease or treatment. I mean, she would find stuff, or, you know, they just had a book that helped her find stuff in the jungle that would help.
Yes.
So I know a big part of our decision making to not do the chemotherapy was that background, you know, was that the fact that, hey, you know, I had seen some amazing things growing up where people had results from different botanicals and barks and roots and so many different things. And so part of our journey was going to the jungle frequently and trying things like cat's claw, you know, bark off of trees, and they have little berries called camu camu that have the most amazing vitamin C packed in them, and just so many different things.
Right. So you were searching high and low for something that could help him, and I got a picture here I don't really want to show for very long, but to give people an idea, I mean, at times things were really, really desperate, and things, and you know, he spent time in the hospital and so on, right?
Yeah, you can see Michael had gone back in the hospital. He had a lot of swelling issues. One of the biggest, not when you have cancer, secondary things set in, and so we struggled a lot with grand mal seizures continuously. Having had 2 brain resections, he became an epileptic. Most patients that we had met with that type of cancer didn't live past 5 years, and so as doctors followed through, you know, his prognosis, he was having things that maybe they hadn't encountered before, different types of necrosis and neuropathy that was setting in his legs and feet. And so about 4.5 years ago, you know, 12.5 years into our journey, he was in a wheelchair because he was having so much pain walking.
12.5 years into your journey. Okay, yeah. So something happened, though, didn't it? What happened?
Absolutely. 4.5 years ago, we were introduced to mangosteen juice. Very, very exciting time in our life because we were at the bottom. And I say exciting because, you know, for every mountain there's a valley, and you know,
right.
there's lots of ups and downs. And it was at this time that a friend introduced us to this mangosteen juice. He said, you know, this is a brand new company, has brought this out there, but once you look into it, I think you'd be really excited because of, you know, the benefits that people are seeing from it. So that was 4.5 years ago. I would say probably within the first couple weeks, the biggest thing we noticed was the pain, that Michael's pain was going away. And it took a couple months on the product, and his seizures completely stopped.
Wow. How much was he taking then at this time?
I would say over half a bottle. Sometimes he'd take
a day, right?
A full bottle a day. Sometimes he can only get half a bottle down, drinking lots of water. You know, an interesting thing is we were on many, many different supplements at the time, and I'm sure many people have experienced this. Well, we ran out of juice. And we thought, well, it's got to be a combination of everything we were doing. but within 2 days, all the pain came back. And so we knew, I remember my husband saying, I don't care where you find it or who you go find, but you have to get some juice right now. And, so I went to find someone who had brought it to us. And so it was exciting. He was able to eliminate all the other supplements that he was on and just take the mangosteen juice.
And so this was a process of healing and recovery. I bet it was an exciting time to see him starting to improve.
Absolutely. It just changed. I remember towards the end of our 12 and a half years journey, we lived a lot with Post-it notes everywhere because Michael would forget things very periodically, and so there were little reminders everywhere. And it's exciting to see someone really go through a transformation where they remember things, from where they haven't been. And so many different things started to change. And in 4.5 years, he has his life back. And it's so exciting for our family. You can see a picture there, about a year old.
Yeah, he looks different. He's got a big smile on his face and hair and everything,
Absolutely.
Wow.
We're just so blessed. We're blessed because of the timing that it was and what this product has done for our lives.
So how long would this process of healing go on then, from the time you first started taking it, or perhaps it's still going on? Nothing like this changes overnight, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've heard Dr. Templeman also say too that, healing comes, or the process of recovery comes, if you think of how many years you have been ill, it would absolutely take even that long, taking a supplement or being on mangosteen juice to see a difference. So, I know he will never, ever stop drinking the juice. Our kids absolutely love it. We've been able to share it with other people. So.
Yeah, and that's, basically what happened is that eventually, from the great, incredible results that you were getting, you started to turn it into a business. I suppose you couldn't help but start talking about it, right?
That's right. And you just, the people that knew him from before to see the transformation, we had more friends and family come up and say, what is going on with Michael? He is so different. I didn't have to start the conversation. It was initiated just by his testimony.
Wow, yeah. And so now you're a 20K distributor here, and you've got your family back, and here's some great pictures at some of the events, including this wild one, looks like from one of our dance party deals down in the left-hand corner, and a beautiful smile on your face. You look so happy there.
Thank you. I am. I'm just so blessed, that we've had the opportunity to be part of, some bigger picture and just to touch others' lives. The business opportunity with Zango is so exciting because that's where our heart is. Our heart is, I always thought that there would be something that I would be able to do that would, change other people's lives or be part of some amazing thing. Looking at my legacy with my grandparents and parents, and this is it. We absolutely love it. We've met some incredible people, and my husband's done phenomenal.
Well, Julia, this is Terry. We just want to thank you so much for being on the call, and it's people like you that have stories like that come from your heart. I mean, you truly, both of you and your husband are amazing because you will touch the world because you've been touched with this great juice. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And thank you
thanks
again.
a lot, Julie. Great story. Anything else you wanted to add before we move on to the next section of the call?
No, just thank you again for having me on. Just really excited what's out there in the future for us.
Yeah.
It's absolutely an amazing story, just an incredible story that most people, I'm sure the people that are listening to this don't find it hard to believe, but most of the general public, they find it hard to believe that something natural could help the body heal itself in such a fashion. So thanks for coming on, Julia. Really appreciate that and taking the time and some great pictures. And so thank you. And you can hang on a bit, Julie, in case you've got anything to tip. You can want to jump in on here. I might open it up, so I've suggested that before. So Long Beach update, getting ready for phase 2. Wow, what are we talking about here? I would say that Zango is changing gears, and you're going to hear a lot more about this. And I've talked to Beverly Hollister about this. Our original goal, category curator, was to dominate the mangosteen marketplace. But now we're shifting gears, and our gear is shifting into dominating the entire wellness category. So Mangosteen was the beginning, and talking to Beverly, the founders always had the vision for dominating the wellness category. That was something they'd always planned to do. But the juice took off so fast that they really, didn't want to come out with any additional products, and that has now changed, as you know, with what's coming up with Glimpse. But I can tell you this, there is more coming than that, and we will touch very briefly on that a little bit later on in the call. But let me give you some of the details on Glimpse that you may not have heard about. This is, of course, is Beverly at the Long Beach event, and I believe you're going to see a live video of this at the Zango.tv, Zango Invasion. I believe that's on the 14th. You'll see a live video of Beverly presenting this. And we're launching here with a bioactive X3 complex. That is the actives within the Glimpse formulas that are coming up. And as I have said before, Beverly is a phenomenal marketing person, launching of products, and people are wondering why it's taking so long for Glimpse to coming out. Let me tell you this. She knows exactly what she's doing. She has launched products like this before for other companies that did well over $100 million in sales in a few years. And so she's going to roll it out exactly according to the way that has worked so well for her in the past, which means it's going to be a staged kind of rollout that we're going to get into. She has put together an incredible team behind her that have lots of experience. We've talked about that before. This is a whole launch team. And I've said to you before, from all that I've seen here in my 20-plus years in the industry, this is going to be the biggest product launch in the history of an existing company, a company that is already on the map. But you're going to have to be a little patient to do this right. And so, yes, they've got a couple of bioactive X3 complex and mangosteen infused water. Let's go through this slide and show you what basically is going into this product. We have, first of all, what the bioactive X3 complex, that's just the trade name we're using for the actives that are in there that are based on the mangosteen, xanthones X3. Mangosteen pericarp oil for anti-inflammatory support, mangosteen pericarp fermented, and there's a special fermentation process for getting these clean xanthones out without a lot of chemicals. The pericarp number 2 here will give antioxidant support, and the mangosteen pericarp fermented with acidic extract will give collagen synthesis. So these are what is unique about this Glimpse skin nutrition program, if you will. And then Terry's going to come on and go through these actual formulas. There's going to be 2 different systems available. Terry, why don't you run through these?
Well, you guys, when I saw this on the board, and Art and I, of course, had the privilege of talking to Beverly Hollister, I was so excited. I have very sensitive skin, and I have very dry skin. So when they actually showed this on the board, the first system, you've got your normal to dry skin, and in that section, you're going to have 4 products. One is going to be a creamy cleanser. The other one is going to be a toner, and it's actually going to be a spritzer. It's going to be a spray toner. Okay, then we've got your serum, and the serum is going to be in a pump. So as you all know, the serum is usually used for any problem areas, those little lines that us ladies don't like and what have you. Then we're going to have a cream moisturizer. Okay, that's the first section. Then the second system, which is normal to combination skin, is a gel cleanser. And Beverly was saying a lot of men are going to like this system because of the gel cleanser with their shaving and what have you. Then we've got the toner, of course, which is going to be a spray, okay? And then you've got the serum. And then the bottom one, we've got a moisturizer lotion, okay? So that's going to be a lot lighter for the men to put on their face. I personally will probably like the cream one because I need extra moisturizer, so the cream will be great for me. But this is such an exciting time, you guys, to be able to have this. And for Beverly to be backing this, I mean, oh my gosh, this is bigger than you guys can even imagine, because everybody uses skincare, and this is not only just for the women and for the men, but take children and those teenage years that have the acne. I mean, this is going to be outrageous. We're going to be changing lives again, so you really have to think big in this when we get this product out.
Yeah, Terry, and there was a couple suspicious-looking people, at least a couple suspicious-looking people at the Long Beach event. I'm not mentioning any names, but I remarked that one of the top leaders in Zango, very, very top leader, female leader in Zango, I thought she'd had a facelift, and you're telling me no, she hadn't had a facelift.
No, she had not had a facelift, but her face was changing. It was changing dramatically, and I tell you what, she had a glow about her that I had never seen in her. And I, of course, have been able to see Beverly in the last few months, and Beverly's face is changing as well. It's been very exciting, and Beverly is beautiful to start with, but there is a tightness in her face that is happening, and there's just a special glow. You guys have got to see it for yourself, and those of you that are going to Orlando, do please go up to Beverly and have a look, because she is amazing with whatever this product is doing. And just think, we're going to have a touch of it.
Yeah, and so they're experimenting with some of these actives. Obviously, people are getting certain portions of them. The product is not formulated yet, but some of these actives are getting out to be tested. Julia, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
You're a woman. What do you think of this?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited. You know, this is like you said, it's going to change lives dramatically, and that's what we're about. So yeah. I'm very excited.
I know I sprung that on you when you were just sitting there watching the slides, right?
Yeah, I was.
I thought I just have your input in there, so I apologize for that. So here's how it's going to be rolled out. And basically at the Orlando Regional, they're going to take qualified sign-ups for the VIP program that will get the glimpse before convention. And what's cool about this is basically there's ways for others rather than just the premiers to qualify for this. You've got to sign up for it. You've got to be at the Orlando Regional. Premiers and above will be part of this group. Share it, winners in that campaign, and any 1K and up with 45% of their organization on 2K's auto ship. So if you're a 1K distributor, or even a 5K distributor that has a young organization and you're promoting 2K's ADPs in your organization, you too can qualify for basically the pre-release of Glimpse in the fall. And we don't have a date on that, but we will be testing it so that by the time convention rolls, we'll have a large number of the leadership group that will have been using it and talking about it and building the energy for the launch and convention. And what you'll see is an incredible explosion in convention once we get our hands on this product, Terry.
Well, and I was just thinking, you might even want to do before and after pictures. I know I've had people say, well, I've got aging spots on my hands, so I'm thinking about, not me, but somebody's thinking about doing one hand and not the other hand. I have another person that said they're going to do half their face. I don't think I'm going to do that, but I think it's going to be very exciting. I think this whole product line, and what Beverly had said, and remember this, the people that are drinking the juice and that have been drinking the juice, we're now working from the inside out and now from the outside in. And people that have been on the juice, it's going to be very powerful because you've got both ways that you're working on. And remember, it's going to the cellular level. And so this is very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we all know in Zango that just taking the juice is enough to make your skin look a lot better. I don't know how many comments Terry gets on her skin all the time. And in fact, other proponents of skin creams out there recommend natural internal anti-inflammatories as well. And so the combination of a new person coming on the juice and on Glimpse at the same time could be very, very dramatic. And we like this quote from Eckhart Tolle, who's kind of all the rage right now. He's got the #1 best-selling book because Oprah has been promoting it. And he says that a glimpse is enough to initiate the awakening process, which is irreversible. And we're going to take Glimpse out, and we're going to initiate an awakening process among Zango distributors as well. So fantastic launch of Glimpse coming up. We've got a couple star points. This is Terry called these star points. That we wanted to come up with some of the best quotes, and this one was from Gary Hollister, and I love this quote: "No one becomes a leader by becoming wealthy, but they do become wealthy by becoming a leader." And that's a wonderful quote. This business is built by leaders, and one of the things that you may find that you have to do is grow into this business. As I have said before, you have to be the leader that you want others to follow. And people will do as you do, not as you tell them to do. And so you're on this webinar. You have a high degree of possibility of having people join the webinar. If you're not on this webinar, of course, you couldn't be hearing me now, but a lot of the team will not follow you onto the webinar. Same goes for Long Beach. Same goes for Orlando. If you go to Orlando and you are the leader that says, I'm going to go to Orlando, you will likely have your team following you. If you say, no, I don't need to go to Orlando, probably most of your team won't. I mean, it is so simple. So you've got to be the leader that you want others to follow, and that may be a process for you. You know, you may not have the leadership skills yet, but it doesn't mean that you can't get them. It doesn't mean that you can't grow into this business. This next one here, I love this one. This was my favorite quote from the event, and of course it's Joe Morton there giving this. He looks rather serious there, but that's the only picture I got with my camera. He says, don't be afraid of the space between your dreams and reality. Isn't that interesting? A space between your dreams and reality. So you have the dream on one side here, and you have the reality of where you are right now. And that can look like a rather large space, can it? You're sitting here as a 1K distributor, and your dream is to fire your boss, spend time with your family, and become a premier in Zango. And it looks like there's a big space between where you are and where you want to be. So the quote is, don't be afraid of the space, and don't let the space hold you back from dreaming that dream. And Terry, we had some pretty interesting observations about that. What is your why? What are your dreams? Talk about some of the observations you had about whys at the event.
Well, this is always amazing. You know, when I go to events, I always like to see and watch what pearls that I can bring back, because I believe that I'm there to learn and grow just like everyone else. And so I try to be the observer and try to look and see what have I learned from this event. And it was so powerful. We had chosen to meet with our different groups at different times throughout the whole weekend. We went in a day early, we met people, and we stayed until the Sunday night, and we met people then. And you know, as the event was going on and as we were meeting with all of our people, at each segment, I would ask them, or Art would ask them, what is your why? What is your dream? Why are you doing this? What is your passion? And, you know, as I went through it, it wasn't until the last day and we were actually flying home, and I was contemplating this on the airplane. It was like, you know, as I listened to all the stories, there was one particular story that really stood out. And it was so interesting because she had such passion. She had such excitement. And, you know, all it was is she wanted a ride-em tractor so that she didn't have to cut the lawn. But you got to understand, when she told her story, which was just a small segment, but when she expressed it, her eyes just lit up, and her body, she was so excited, and she had this big smile on her face, and she lit up like a Christmas tree, you guys. I mean, that was what resonated, and it showed me that she had passion for this. I mean, her husband is just going full-time now. I'll tell you what, she is going to push that with her husband, and she will fulfill her dreams. Yes, she had other dreams she mentioned. You know, she wants to take the kids to a nice tropical place with her and her husband, but it was the tractor that she wanted so badly. So, you know, you see, you guys, it's not that you have to have a huge dream, an expensive dream, like a really expensive car. It's where is your passion? You know, I was contemplating this morning. Art doesn't even know I'm going to say this, but when we turned premier, I had made this huge list when we were our 1K of our dreams. And when we turned premier, one of the most exciting things that I wanted and that we had wanted for 7 years was a woodshed, to build a woodshed and to have 7 cords of wood in it. And I'll never forget the day that the woodshed was built and we were stacking 7 cords of wood in it. That was my passion. That was Art and our dream. We heat our house with wood, and so there was nothing more exciting for me to know that we were secure that winter, or not wondering where we're going to get enough money to buy a cord of wood. And I'll never forget doing that woodshed, how exciting it was and what passion we had for a woodshed. It meant nothing to anybody else, but to Art and I, we had dreamed that dream for 7 years, you guys. We had used blue tarps to keep our wood dry, which was very hard to do with blue tarps because of the moisture.
Right.
So you see, your dream can be as simple as that. But I all encourage you to go and look at your dreams and look at your why and talk to your family and talk to your husband and say, you know, where is our passion? Because I'll tell you what, this one lady with her tractor, I could see that was her passion, and she will get that ride and lawnmower.
Yeah.
That is what's going to drive her.
No doubt about it, Terry. And, you know, Joe Morton told his story about his dream, you know, and he was with this other company long before Zango, and I remember, Terry, and a couple of people were he was asking, what are your dreams? What are your dreams? And they told him their dreams, and then they wanted to know what Joe's dreams were, and he was reluctant to tell them his dream because he's with another company, and they said, no, Joe, we want to know what are your dreams. And he finally blurted out, I want to start my own network marketing company, and it's going to be huge and go all around the world, you know? He
was so excited, and you could tell when he told that story, he had such passion. And you guys, you know, that's where your dreams have to come from. It has to come from your passion. It's not about buying an item out there. I'll
tell you what, Terry, the truth is that the passion is what drives everything in your business.
It is.
And it can start with your own story, can be part of your passion. And it can be a dream of helping others, can be part of your passion. It can be a dream of spending time with your family. But that is what fuels it. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this a little bit later on here because I've had some very interesting things come to me as I've been working with this new group that are going 5K in 90 days. But first of all, a couple other things, Terry. Let's jump ahead here. I wanted to acknowledge Sandy and Jim Bennett. Yes, I know that you're looking at this, Sandy, and you're surprised. I did get that slide. I will send you a copy. She was acknowledged from the stage for having 88% growth in her business since turning 5K in September of 2007. Congratulations, Jim and Sandy. It was great to see you there.
Almost a new 20K coming up.
And there's Dave and Nancy Hansen. And that's the lady that wants the tractor, and they were acknowledged and asked to stand because they have these special tags that were put onto their thing. They're one of the top 50 20K income earners in the company under Krista Gustafson's team, so that's powerful. Congratulations, Dave and Nancy. And his job just basically disappeared from him. Had a great job with 3M as an engineer. And it came to an end. So he's now full-time in Zango. It's a good thing he's one of the top 50 20Ks. And let's see if we can get this to click to the next slide. It's reluctant to move.
Don't we just love technology? There we go.
Okay, now let's get into the Jump Starter Pack. I am very excited about this. This is a very powerful. I mean, Zango has got some incredible creativity that they're coming up with now. The Jump Starter Pack is now available. And so this is available on the initial order. You can sign people up with the Jump Starter Pack. And that is 2 cases of Zango juice, 1 case of singles, 1 distributor kit, 1 Go Anywhere kit, which is worth $100 here. And you can see it's got a flip chart and it's got a eraser board. It comes with 20 brochures, the whole fruit brochure, some other things in there, all in a case where you can go do presentations. You don't even need a computer here because you have a flip chart. And a 2-for-1 registration for Orlando, or if you don't make it to Orlando, a 2-for-1 registration to convention. Now, is that hot or what? A value of $665 for $400, and there's 300 PV. So when you sign somebody up on the Jump Starter Pack, that's a $90 power bonus, guys. How about 4 of those a month? 4 9s are $360, just in power bonuses. And, of course, if you're on a 2-case ADP, you will get 15%, a $45 power bonus if the people that you sponsor people. And so the Jump Starter Pack is a hot item. It's a new sign-up pack that is available right now. And what I like about it is your brand new business builder that's committed. You're already getting him or her set up to come to Orlando or convention. Very, very powerful. That'll only be for them. They'll only be the ones to be able to use those coupons. And so you've already planting the seeds for the next major event, because we know in this industry that leaders are born at events. Anything to add on that, Terry?
Art stole my thunder. I was just going to say that, And the other thing that I think you guys have to always recognize is Gary Hollister says, and this is just the beginning. And if you guys ever knew what was on the horizon, this is truly just the beginning. This company is going big places.
And one of the hot things, Terry, is these new singles, and we're starting to see them being used out there in the field. They're incredible. This is a hot deal, 1 ounce singles. You've got to have these if you're going to be in the business, promoting the business, and passing them out to people, letting them get a sip of the juice. And you know what? People love free samples, let's face it. So you can generate a tremendous amount of interest and really create leads with these things. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit here, because bless his heart, Chris Peterson, the founder of My Mangosteen, has already come up with a new, what you would call a lead capture or splash page. For anyone that's got a My Mangosteen website, you have a page that looks a lot like this, that you can send people directly to this page. And what does it say? Please send me a free sample. And they have to put in their name and their phone number and their address, and so that you now have a lead. And I've had 4 or 5 or 6 people fill out this page already this week from some of the advertising and promoting that we're doing. That's an option now. If you go into the back office of your My Mangosteen website, you go into My Account, you will see how to bring this page up as a default page where everybody that goes to your website has to go through here. And there is a link down at the bottom here on the actual page. Go directly to the website so they can bypass this if they want. They don't have to fill out their information. That's how I've got mine defaulted to. Or you can go in there and find the actual what's called URL and send people directly to this free sample. Now, what I want you to do, if you've got these singles, I want you sending your prospects to this page. When you're promoting people and you're sending them to your website, I want you to start sending them to this page, because you know why? One of the biggest challenges of having a website is finding out who actually comes from your promotion. Isn't that right? It's hard to know who's coming to the website. They don't all fill out their contact information. Now we have a way to grab their contact information and know that they're coming there. I'm telling you, most people that have the least bit of interest, if they come to that page, they will put in their name. They have to put in their phone number on this now and order a single, and then you know you've got a hot lead that you can follow up on. Also, I want you guys that are creative out there to start thinking about ways to advertise free samples in your local markets. How about some newspaper ads? Have you heard Mangosteen, fastest selling product on history, as seen on Oprah? Call for free sample. Call for free sample. I wouldn't even put my website address in there. How about a flyer with tear-off brochures? Free sample. Call this number. You want people to call you. But if you send them to your website, what about if you're out in the meat market meeting people? Hey, go to my website and fill out the information there, and you can get a free sample. Do you see how powerful this is if used correctly? Now, remember, Terry, what are they going to have to do with these samples if they're going to make any success out of this?
Okay, guys, this is really important. I've been doing this the last week and a half, and what is important is you have to get people's names and phone numbers. For instance, Art was at the phone place updating his phone, and the guy happened, a door opens. The door always opens, you see, for a conversation. The guy happens to say, so what do you guys do? I do Zango. Well, what is Zango?
What is Zango? And you brought out the single.
Yeah, I brought out the single. I said, just a minute. I went into my purse, my nifty little purse, and there's a single sitting in there. And I said, oh, it's this, a nutritional drink. We had a quick little 2-minute drill on it. I did not hand it to him. I said to him, if you give me your card and phone number and name, I'll give you this. And you see, I did not let go of it until I got his information. It is so important to get the information, you guys. Otherwise, all you're doing out there is softening the market, and it's money out of your pocket because you're giving out free samples. You have to get people's information. So I encourage you, yes, send free samples out there, but make sure you have their name and phone number.
Follow up, and that's what it looks like. A gorgeous box, has tremendous potential for people that are in high traffic areas. I actually know of one of our team members I just heard that did a trade show and actually sold the singles for $1.50. Others are going to be selling them for $2. Once somebody's willing to pay $2 for a sample, you've just pre-qualified your lead, just like that. So you get 30 of these and 3 boxes, 30 in a box and 3 boxes for 100 PV and $130. And gosh, if all you did, if all you focused on was getting 90 or even 30 or 60 of these samples out into other people's hands in a month, I'm telling you, you could easily sign up enough people to pay for this, even if you were giving them away. So this is very hot right now, and I want you to think of ways to advertise this. I want you to start using that on your website. Yeah, I really believe, Terry, and I know you do, that another big Zango wave is coming. And if you know anything about surfing, you know that if you're laying on the beach, you can't catch a wave. And you know that if you're on your board in the water and just laying there or swimming slowly, you can't catch a wave. And you know that you have to swim out away from shore and let go of your fears and doubts behind and go out into the ocean where it's potentially scaring. And in fact, there could be even sharks in the water if you want to catch a big wave. And you know that you also might get hurt a little bit if you catch it the wrong way, right? And so, but what is the number one fundamental thing you've got to do to catch a wave? Paddle very quickly, and your timing has to be right. And so I really believe a new huge Zango wave is coming. We're shifting gears. It's no longer enough to dominate the mangosteen market. We're now going to dominate the wellness category. We have the distributor base to do it. We have the management team to do it. We have an incredible future ahead of us. And so I highly recommend that you start rapidly building your business now. And what are you going to be building to? You're going to be building to Orlando, the major regional event. I tell you what, this event is going to be huger than any of you know right now. But at May 30th and 31st are going to be our biggest regional of the year. I'm telling you, it's going to be huge. It's going to be big.
It's not to be missed. If you can get there, get there. I believe there's going to be over 5,000 people there, okay? And it's something you really want to work towards and make sure that you're there. So you don't want to miss this event. This is going to be huge.
Well, we've got the Glimpse rollout, for one thing. And let me flip through a couple of these slides as we're running out of time here. Oh, I'm paused. Hold on. I didn't want to show that slide anyway. Something else, okay, and I can't say much about this yet, guys, and I hate to just sort of leave you hanging, but I'm not at liberty to tell you why Orlando is going to be so big. It's not just about Glimpse, guys. So there's something else that's going to be announced, and I will have all the details, including slides and pictures and graphics to show you what else is going to be launched at the Orlando event on next week's webinar. So stay tuned for that. We're also going to have Dr. David Engel, who we lined up before we knew about this announcement that we just got privy to yesterday afternoon. And Dr. David Engel is a chiropractor. He did an incredible job telling his story, and I can tell you the timing is absolutely perfect to have Dr. Engel on at the same time as this announcement next week. So I want you to build big time to this event. We're going to send out the webinar announcement early. I want you to get on the phone. I want you to get people out to these events. This is an event that we have every week. You see, Orlando is something that comes once a year or once in a lifetime if they're never back to Atlanta. But you have something you can build to this week. And if you start to learn about the ways that you create momentum in your business, the ways that you motivate people in your business, you will learn to use these webinars to move your business forward. And we've got the Eric Welsh webinar coming up. You saw a flash on that. He's going to change things up on Tuesday night, 6 p.m. He's going to bring a whole bunch of his leaders onto that call. It's going to be different. He's going to be interviewing people. He's calling it Profiles of Success, okay? So everybody gets a little bored doing the same presentation week after week or month after month, and so he's going to change it up. That's a brand new presentation. So you've got 7 days here, don't we? We've got some powerful things you build to Tuesday night. So anybody that you talk to or have in the pipeline that are interested in the business, you want to have them registered for this webinar on Tuesday night. And then anybody else that you can get on this Saturday webinar. I'm telling you what, it's the key to momentum and catching that wave is to promote different kinds of events. Also, you may have some local events in your region, too. Terry, events are everything.
They really are. That is where leaders are found and made because it's something you don't want to miss. There's so much happening at events. You can talk to so many people. You can learn so much. But it is about talking to other people. We always encourage our people that are at the events to talk to other leaders, to have the understanding that this business is not built just Art and Terry Manville's way. It's built the way that you have your own passion. It's built the direction that you can do it. And so if you talk to more and more leaders out there, you'll find that everybody does their business different. And there's nothing wrong with that. So find out what your passion is.
Yeah, it's not the how, it's the why, Terry.
It always goes back to
the why. There's a million hows, but there's only your why.
Exactly.
So what are you going to do next week? That's the question. Is this a movie, or is this your life we're talking about? I got a couple of things I got to talk about. That's the team training side. Don't forget to put people in here. But I've got something else. Don't jump off, guys. I've got some things. That's the back office. You'll see our webinars in here. Now, we've just started this group. You saw the email on it. It's closed. We're not taking any more people in it. We've got more than we ever could have imagined of people that are not yet 5K that have decided that they want to go for 5K in 90 days. And this is under the Getting Started tab, okay? And this is a powerful new training for people that really want to go for it and get to 5K in 90 days. And we've got this goal-setting form down here at the bottom, this worksheet. I'm telling you what, that is so powerful. Every one of you should get a hold of that sheet. And in fact, we're going to come up with a modified one that does not commit you to any particular goal that we say of 5K in 90 days. You can create your own thing, but the whole process of going through your dreams, your goals, and I've got one other message for you. The other thing that I've been talking to this group already in a couple of emails is about writing down your 5 compelling reasons for doing Zango. And I love reading these things. People are finding their passion. So write down your 5 compelling reasons, type it into your computer, send it to your sponsor or your upline. And this is very, very powerful. You'll see more about this yet. And, you know, what I find as I look at these forms that people have been filling out to join this group, I can see that some of them spend hardly any time at it at all. You know, it's like, oh, my goals, I just want to do this, I want to do that. They probably finish the whole form in 3 minutes. And I have a lady who is, let's say, over 70 years old that put down her whys and her dreams and wrote me pages of her why, her dream, her compelling reasons. And she has passion. That's an indication of passion that she's got in touch with. She has her goals and her dreams, and there's never too late to that. I got another one this morning, Terry. You don't even know that. 5 compelling reasons from these couple. They're in their 80s. They've been married for 60 years.
Wow.
And they're joining this group, and they have joined this group, and they have their passion. So I highly recommend that you people that aren't in this group go ahead and fill out this form and go through the step on your own and write down your 5 compelling reasons. I know we're running overtime. If any of you joined the group, okay, and you have sent an email in to join this group or faxed me something and you did not get an email this week, then you're not in the group for some reason or another. So send me an email and say, here's my stuff, and I will send you the first 2 emails of this group, and we're having our first call on Monday. I can't take any more people in it, but we will probably try to archive this perhaps. Don't forget the Share It campaign, and Orlando, be there, and we'll see you all there. So thanks, everybody, for coming on the call today. Terry, anything else you wanted to add before we get off?
No, I just feel like it's a really exciting time, you guys, with Vango, and so catch the wave.
Okay, let's open up the lines, and what I would like you to do is really give Julia some acknowledgement of her journey and what she has gone through and coming out the other side, and blessings to her and her husband. And let's open up the lines here and say thank you, Julia. Appreciate it.